There it is. There it is. Yavi, guess what?
Guess what? What?
Guess what?
What?
Guess.
Welcome back to the All Lowercase Podcast. I'm Yavi.
And I'm Chris. And today is I might cry.
Yes.
So just keep on your toes.
It'll keep you watching the whole time. Just kidding. We're not here to fake it. If Chris cries, he cries. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But if he cries, I'm going to talk about another time he cried.
We'll get
We'll get there.
Let's get down with our introductions. We might or might not be on Spotify.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and say that we are, and if we aren't, you can edit this part out.
Yeah.
So we're on Spotify, and that's exciting because I know YouTube can be annoying to use if like you're driving or like you have to keep it on to be able to listen. So we're on Spotify, and so you can just listen on Spotify and have us going on in the background or whatever. And we'll have a link to our Spotify in our description.
Maybe, if it's there. So let's talk about just what we've been up to since our last podcast.
Also,
Yavi, you go first.
I wanted to add a quick side note. I think we're going to try to have a like counter in this episode because while I was listening to our last podcast, I think we both agreed on this. We said like too many times when it was unnecessary. So
yeah.
I think we both want to work on cutting back on that. And so if we ever say like, and if that word can be taken out of the sentence and the sentence can still make sense, then that counts as one. And I don't know what we're going to do with the counter, but
it'll be fun.
It'll be our own embarrassment, I guess.
Hello, this is Chris, and here to tell you that I did not do a like counter. I am very lazy. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Oh no, we'll see.
Okay. I mean, if they do, I think we can just like.
I'll kick them out like I kicked out my roommate.
No, I don't know. We'll see how long they stay if they stay.
You'll see. All right, you first on catching up what we've been up to since.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I've just been kind of busy with a lot of work. I've been catching up, doing a lot. Being a college student is a lot of work, and I was just doing that. Life's busy sometimes on its own, you know. What about you?
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Man, that's wild, Yavi. You've been getting crunk.
Yeah, I'm just such a party animal, honestly. That's what all my friends say. They're like, Yavi's too wild. She does too much.
I haven't been doing much. I've started my barista job, and I finally got to like. Dang it! I said it. I said like.
One.
I've gotten to milk steaming, so I have started making latte art. Kind of. We'll see. I've started steaming milk. I'm working on that. I'm working on my own drink to have at my place that I work. I'm not going to disclose it yet because we'll see. Not until I get a pay increase.
Dang. No free sponsorships from us until I get that money.
Speaking of sponsorships, today's sponsor is the snowstorm that's been ravaging.
That demolished Texas, dude.
That demolished Texas. The snowstorms. Do you want to be locked inside your room or drive on icy conditions and maybe crash into people? Do you want to get cabin fever and possibly commit a murder against your roommate? The snowstorm is for you. Now, this snowstorm has been wild. It's a lot of you have heard Texas has gone through rolling blackouts and water pipes are bursting. It's getting, luckily, it's almost over.
Right.
But
And I do want to
it's-
say we're both okay. And I think we were both lucky in the hand we were dealt during the snowstorm. Neither of us lost power for extended periods of time. We had access to water. We had access to heat. We weren't having to go to other places to be warm. So we were both pretty lucky. Do you want to talk about how your snowstorm experience was?
Mine wasn't too bad. I actually crashed at my buddy's apartment Saturday, and then that morning I had to drive back on campus. And let me tell you, it is nice having four-wheel drive on your truck for these exact reasons. It's so nice. Yavi can't relate, she's over there, and
I have four-wheel drive.
oh, your car is all-wheel drive, right?
Yeah, I can change it to four-wheel drive.
I guess. Is yours a truck?
No, and I'm so glad for that. I'm glad it's not a truck.
Don't hate on it. You haven't driven a truck. Don't hate on it.
For good reason. I think if I drove a truck it would be a disaster for me and the people around me.
You get used to it, honestly. Like, it feels big, and then you just get used to it,
Anyway, the snowstorm for me.
Anyway.
The snowstorm for me, it was, like I said, we were okay. It was not bad. I think the worst that happened to us was either the first or second night the power went out twice, but it was only for about 20 minutes, and then it came back on. And I think the only inconvenience for me was that our Wi-Fi went out for about a day and a half. So it is really hard not to say like. I've almost said it like 5 or 6 times and then I've stopped myself. But our internet was out for a day and a half. My campus classes were closed for this entire week. I didn't go to work this entire week. So in some aspects it's been nice because I can catch up on work. And it's also just kind of been sad to see other people who weren't as fortunate and did have to find places for water and food and warmth. But we're at the end of it now, luckily.
Hopefully. Let's get down to business. All right. So today's podcast, as you can tell by the title, is top 5 songs. Although that is a little bit misleading. We decided we were going to do our top 5 songs, but then I was
then it was too difficult.
It was too difficult. I couldn't pick just 5. So I decided, I was like, hey, how about we do 5 different categories and we pick our favorite song from each category. But before we get to those categories, let's talk about just like, I did it again. Let's talk about what music means to us.
What music means to us. I think we're both pretty into music. And I think it's cool because I think we're into music for different reasons. I think, well, I don't know. I think I do that sometimes. I think, no, I think I don't know if it's for different reasons actually, because I think we both have songs we relate to. We both have songs that we're just amazed by the technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Almost said it. Just the complexity of songs. We're into songs that resonate with us. So yeah, music does hold a very special place for me because I think it calms me down like nothing else can. That one was okay because you couldn't take it out of that sentence and still have it make sense.
All right. But no, like, let's just not even talk about. Let's just not even bring up that we're saying like in here. Certain songs just do hold a special place in our hearts. Like you said, like certain songs bring up memories. Certain songs evoke certain emotions from us and stuff like that, and they just speak to us on a whole other level. The lyrics from every song hit everyone just a little bit differently, and they remind us of people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really like that quote that someone, I think a performer said, who said, the reason I like performing is that you'll sing a song to a crowd of 50,000 people and they'll sing it back to you for 50,000 different reasons. I thought that's a great way to sum up what music is for people.
Exactly. And there's a lot of different parts of music that resonate with different people. For me, I like to not research the artist, but I would like to get into the artist more, get to know about what the song means to them, and just like how the song what the song symbolized whenever it was released into the world at the time it was. And I'll get into that in some of my songs that I chose. And so let's talk about the different categories. Oh wait, no,
Before we
sorry.
do, let's talk about what we were excluding, because I think that helps us. We excluded classical music because Chris definitely listens to classical music. I dabble in it a bit. And there are some really good ones out there that you just have to be amazed by because of the time period it was in and how ahead of its time it was. And we were both, Chris still is, I say former, but I still think I am a little bit. We were both music nerds. So no classical music. The next one is for me, no Broadway. I'm pretty into Broadway. We said no Broadway, sadly. Future podcast episode? Question mark.
Maybe. And the
then,
last thing that we excluded was non-English music, and that was for both of us.
Because I listen to a lot of Indian music,
and I listened to a few Spanish speaking music, and there were a few songs. One of them did make my honorable mentions, but it wasn't included.
Yeah, so, that's fine.
What's your kind of music taste that you have?
I always say I'm into chill music. My brother would say that I listen to sad music. There is an overlap, sure, but it's hard to. I just enjoy music that calms me down because I feel like my head is always going at like 100 miles per. Ooh, I just did it. I feel like my head is going around 100 miles per hour, and I just need songs that will kind of calm that down instead of intensifying it. I don't have problems with more upbeat pop music. It's when it's my choice when I'm listening to, though, it's always more laid back, chill vibes kind of thing. What about you?
For me, it depends on the mood. There's sometimes where I'm feeling R&B. There's sometimes where I'm feeling mellow music. There's sometimes where I'm feeling I want to get into my feels. I want to get into my dangerous, where I'm feeling myself and I want to make bad decisions. And there's some where I just want to like be profound and listen to very meaningful music. Which brings us to the criteria of the songs.
Our categories.
Yes, that's a better word for it. First category is feel good. So it's kind of self-explanatory, just songs that make you feel good. I mean, pretty straightforward, it seems. And then the one after that is feeling dangerous. So this is actually on the outline. I put feeling dangerous, and it's like feel good, but you want to purposely make bad decisions that you'll regret later because you want your life to be a movie, but it will never be a movie. So you just purposely make bad decisions, and then you reap the consequences of that. But that's a different podcast.
So the vibe we're going for with that one is Ariana Grande, Dangerous Woman kind of thing. Just things that, you know, like make rap. You feel a little bad.
Yeah. For me, I think of rap music and stuff like that, like hip hop and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our next one, we said we weren't going to include classical music, but we did include non-classical era instrumental music. So no lyrics, just instruments. There's no classical music because I mean that stuff bops. We wanted this category because it's really impressive that songs without words can make you feel things, especially songs recently, like by Hans Zimmer and a few and Alan Silvestre.
He just said one of the ones that's going to be on my list, but it's
We'll
fine.
get there
We'll get there when we get there. But I think our music palettes are pretty spread out. I have a range of things that I listen to depending on my mood, and I definitely listen to instrumental a lot, especially when I'm studying, because words can be distracting sometimes. So
yeah,
great category.
Our next category, we had to have it on there, and it's sad music, the music you cry to. You know the songs.
Jams.
You know the songs.
My jams.
Driver's License, All I Ask by Adele, Like You Do.
Don't say the next one. No. It's fine.
We'll get into that one maybe. And then our last category is, it's similar to sad music, but instead of making you sad, it's more profound. It's more meaningful. It's not about being sad. It's not about being down. It's just about, as I like to say, feeling one with the universe and feeling like you have, maybe that, not necessarily that you have your life figured out, but you're thinking about things and you realize, there's stuff out there that's bigger than me,
Right. My criteria for a song being profound or meaningful is that it feels like that song was written for you. I guess it just puts into words the things you feel, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's great when you find music like that.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to go back and forth like you do? We'll do one category, you and then me, and the next category.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. All right, ladies first. Our first category is feeling dangerous.
Feeling dangerous. Also, we have honorable mentions because this was still really hard, and we had multiple songs. I know I had multiple songs for each category, so I tried to stick with my number one pick, and then I also have an honorable mention for each category, or maybe two honorable mentions. So my Feeling Dangerous song is a throwback. It's Wicked Games by The Weeknd. I had to have a Weeknd song on here because I really enjoy The Weeknd. Some of his newer stuff, gotta say, not the biggest fan, but he is very nostalgic to me. I listen to him a lot. I listened to a lot of him in middle school and high school. I think that one's...
Wait, can you say that again? You listened to him a lot when?
In middle school and high school.
Who introduced you to The Weeknd?
My friend, who's really rude, Chris Cuellar. But yeah, honestly, I think I take pride in the fact that Chris did get me into The Weeknd, and we were into The Weeknd before Earned It came out, before he went on the map, went huge. And so Wicked Games is from one of his earliest albums, I think. I don't think it was his first album, but it was definitely before Earned It. And
it was part of his trilogy album.
Yeah, and it's a good one. It's very, I think it was very like an epitome of what his music was before he went big. Not that his music is bad now, it just has a different vibe.
It was pre-earned it, basically.
Pre-earned it. So yeah, that one's great. It's not clean, so if you're looking for clean music, I'm sorry.
We're adults here. We're all adults.
We're adults. And my honorable mention is New by Ben Platt. Every time I hear this song, I just feel like, oh, no, I did it again. I feel like I am standing in the rain, having a good time. It's just, it's a feel good. I don't know how to explain it. It makes me feel like a bad woman in the best way. And I adore Ben Platt too, as you will see. I think he is my favorite artist, probably. He's very talented. And for my Spotify Wrapped, I was in his top 0.5% of listeners. I really like this guy. So anyway, Chris, what's your Feeling Dangerous?
My Feeling Dangerous song is Lennon's Ghost by Noel Miller. And I just love it. Like right off the back, right when it starts, it's just it hits you. It hits you. The song is about self-doubt. And I'll get into that in a minute. But the EP by Noel Miller is called Push. And basically, it's a little project that he had because his father bought instruments to make music with, but he never got around to making music. So Noel made this EP with those instruments. It's a relatively short EP. I think it's like six songs, and it's like 10 minutes long. So pretty short. The reason it's called Lennon's Ghost is because the song whenever he was making this EP, he rented out a house that John Lennon rented out and made music in it too.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
So that's why it starts off with the lyric saying, "Posted on the terrace in the slope, blowing smoke in front of Lennon's ghost." And I thought that was kind of hard if you ask me.
It's funny.
But one of the lyrics that I love the most out of the song is, it goes, "Thinking on if I did enough, they gonna tell me that I did the most." And I love that. It just talks about the self-doubt. It brings to light the self-doubt he has, thinking like, am I doing enough? Is this going to be enough for all the critics out there to tell me that I'm doing the most, that I'm doing it right? But ultimately, it's not about that. It's not about satisfying other people. You should be satisfied with what you're doing yourself. If it's enough for you, it's enough. And sometimes you're never satisfied, and that's okay. That just keeps pushing you forward. And that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of feelings I get with this song. It talks about self-doubt and then saying, nah, forget that. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep pushing myself.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That one is a rap song, right?
Yeah.
I like rap songs that aren't just like, I have money and cars. I like rap songs that are actually, what rap was intended to be about. Like,
I got you.
I did it again. And I think that's a great example of one.
My honorable mention is Natalie by Dead Poet Society. And I love it. It's just a rockin' song. It wasn't my main song because I had a small phase where I listened to this artist that I come back to every now and then. They are great. They are great. They put out great music, great songs. I think they came out with the new single. I forget what it's called. But you should listen to that one. We actually have a playlist for this.
Of all these songs. Of all the songs we could find on Spotify, that is.
Yes. Our next category. Yavi, would you take the honors?
Yes. Our next category is instrumental, so non-classical. This one, I was surprised because picking a song for this one was very difficult. I thought it was going to be easy. I had one in mind, and then I went and listened to my instrumental playlist, and I second-guessed my guess or my choice many times because I liked other ones better, and then I went back to my original, and then I just kept swapping around. So my final pick ended up being One Day by Hans Zimmer from the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, which the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie had the best soundtrack. It was so good, in fact, that they reused the exact soundtrack for the fifth movie, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, Hans Zimmer is a classic, always has such solid scores. If I remember right, he also wrote the score for Interstellar. Very, very nice, very good. And
he likes to work a lot with Christopher Nolan, so he does a lot of the stuff of Christopher Nolan's movies, like the Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar. I think he did Tenet too.
I think he might have also done Inception.
Yeah. He classic, solid composer.
Yeah. And I there has not been a time that I've listened to One Day and I've just not had chills down my spine. It's just so good. I think other composers I would love to shout out that are also amazing is Alan Silvestri, obviously wrote the score for the Avengers movies. Shout out the Portals, but that's not my honorable mention, but that one's really good. Alexander Desplat, oh my gosh, so amazing. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he wrote the score for Harry Potter and the Imitation Game. So good, amazing. John Williams, you know, he's like a magician of music. He's in so many classics. My honorable mention for the instrumental goes to the Avatar: The Last Airbender soundtrack. Now, this easily would have been my number one, except for the fact that they haven't released the soundtrack for the show on Spotify or anywhere. And I thought I found a playlist with it, but then it was just like 2 of the songs of the whole show. And there is a very specific moment in the show that the soundtrack just kills me. I'm sorry, I'm like going on and on about this, but like I care a lot about it. There is a specific moment in the show, spoilers if you haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, which also is the best show ever and you should watch it. It's on Netflix. Chris looks so annoyed.
No. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender as well. It's a great show. It's so good.
But
Daddy Zuko.
The part stop. The part in the show that has the best soundtrack is when it's in the final episode, or I don't know if it's the last episode, but is this the finale? Because the finale was broken up into like 5 parts or something. And Iroh is giving a speech about how they all are going to go to their destiny that day or whatever. And the music going on in the background was just so good. So yeah, this would have been my number one, except they don't have a soundtrack for it. So I couldn't in good conscience make it my number one.
Nice. Very nice. So my non-classical instrumental. My
Follow
instrumental
that
piece.
up. I just talked for like 10 minutes about Avatar.
As Yavi said, she had a very difficult time choosing hers. I knew right from the get-go which my song would be, and it was me and Sebastian's theme from La La Land by Justin Hurwitz. I think that's how you say his last name.
Mm-hmm.
But if y'all don't
Such
know,
a
La La
good
Land,
movie, by the way.
it is. Mwah, chef's kiss. Mwah. La La Land has a special place in my heart, and that's not because I watched it with one of my ex-girlfriends at the time.
No way. I watched that movie right after a breakup, so it hit me hard when I watched it. It just like punched me, you know?
I was watching it while I was still in a relationship, and she hated it, and that's when I was like,
she ain't it, Chief.
I was like, she ain't it. Kick her to the curb. But I know I loved it. I loved the show. I loved the ending. A lot of people did not like it. I loved the ending.
It was so realistic. Why would
it threw a wrench? It threw a wrench at what a movie was supposed to be, and because some people believe it should have had a happy ending where spoiler alert, it should have had a happy ending where they fell in love and they had a family. But sometimes love doesn't work out. And that's
but that was the point. It did have a happy ending, but their happiness just wasn't what they thought it would be.
It wasn't.
Anyway,
together.
we could make a whole podcast about that one, but it did have a happy ending. They both got what they wanted. They got their main goals that they wanted. They just didn't get it together.
With each other. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't together. It's heartbreaking, but yet, and like I said, like I was about to say, something about the theme is just so heartbreaking, yet so full of love. It starts out relatively slow, and I was reading a interview that Justin had, and it's as Sebastian plays it, it has a certain yearning to it. It has a yearning for romance that Sebastian wants, and whenever he meets Emma Stone's character Mia, it gets super intense. The music gets so intense and just fiery, and then it just stops. And it's kind of
it'd be like that.
It is like that. I mean, there are some relationships out there where it starts off pretty slow and the yearning, and then it's a fiery relationship, and then it stops. And
yeah, but then you can look back on it and still say, hey, that was beautiful for what it was. And
Exactly.
I'm trying to learn this one on piano, not gonna lie.
I do too. I
know the
Ryan
first
Gosling
part, but that's
actually
it.
learned. He
Yes,
learned how to
he
play
learned
piano for the
piano for
movie.
this music. As if he couldn't be attractive enough. He was like, yeah, let me just pick up piano. I just said like again.
Actually, it was because of La La Land that I actually started getting into Ryan Gosling and a lot of his acting. So, anyway, our next category.
You didn't have a honorable mention for that one?
I didn't have an honorable mention for instrumental.
Oh, okay.
I see. It could because I know what I want, Yavi.
Oh, excuse me for listening to too many good instrumental music.
Excuse you. Anyway, next category.
Our next category is feel good. So, like I said, I listen to more chill music, so my feel good isn't necessarily upbeat, and it goes to Vienna, originally by Billy Joel, but the version I am making my number one feel good is the version by Ben Platt. This is probably not a surprise to anyone I share my music taste with, because Ben Platt, Vienna by Billy Joel was already a good song, very well written, loved the lyrics, so touching. Ben Platt just knocked it out of the water with his performance. And of course, the song was already good. And the reason it's my feel good is because I relate to the lyrics so much. It makes me feel like I'm just on the right track in life. I believe that song was written and intended for stressed out young people who do too much and then look back and they say, I missed life in the process because I was trying to get further in life, And so it reminds you to stop for a second, breathe, look around, and live your life in the moment. And I really need that sometimes. It's very it really spoke to my conscience, I guess. The first time I heard it, it was very, I always feel like I'm rushing through life, I guess. And Ben Platt sang this so soulfully. He is so talented. I love Ben Platt. And in case you forgot, I really love Ben Platt. he is very talented. He was on Broadway. And yeah, so good. And I do have an honorable mention for this category as well. And this one's relatively new. I was introduced to it pretty recently, and it's Close to You by Dayglow. I believe it just came out like within the last month. I just said like again, I'm sorry. Came out within the last month. It's very upbeat, and it kind of has a retro vibe to it, and I'm just into it. I did it again. I
like sounds.
I like sounds. I dance a bit when I'm listening to it, just around my room. It's a bop. What is your feel good?
Show. Let me tell you. Let me put you on something. My feel good song is "Rolling with the Punches" by the Bluestones. And right from the title, you know what you're getting yourself into. Rolling with the punches. Sometimes life gives you lemons, and you gotta make lemonade somehow.
Shape of a fist, and then it punches you.
Yeah, you thought it was lemons, but it was just a knuckle sandwich. The song just talks about.
That wasn't funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. I hate you. Oh my goodness.
Run it back. Run it.
Knuckle sandwich. Stop.
You just heard it. Anyway, the song talks about like he has an encounter with the devil, and the devil's like, I love your stuff. I love your stuff, but I'm gonna hurt you. Rolling with the punches is just being unstoppable. I mean, like I just said, sometimes you get served a knuckle sandwich, and you can sit on your butt and complain, or you can get back up and be like, oh, get out of here with that. One of my favorite lyrics in the song is, it starts off like the very first lyrics is, been a long time, wrestled to the dirt, now I'm back on my grind. And you already know what that means. Another one that I like is, I need your help like I need blood loss. Words are for the weak with an empty cause. Now give me what I want, or I'll take it for myself. And I like that, Nobody wants blood loss, and words are cheap. Words are cheap without actions that back it up. And in life, a lot of the time, you just got to do it yourself. You got to do it yourself and get what you want. Just take it for yourself. Now, this one, I do have an honorable mention, and it's called No Good by, I don't know if you say Kaleo or Kaleo, but I had a little phase where I listened to this artist a lot. The summer after I graduated, I would play this song I'd roll down to my windows, all windows, turn up my radio all the way up, and I would play this song. And the beginning starts off with just the guitar when doing a sting. It's great. It's great. Mwah. No Good.
I like that you're mentioning lyrics. I should have thought about doing that. I don't know what happened to my voice.
Yeah, you should.
Oh, I wanted to mention, Chris upped his game because I made fun of him in the last podcast.
I did.
He made the outline.
Let me say this.
Yeah, okay, it's your stage. It's your stage this time.
She gave me crap that I don't do enough for this podcast. That
no, I did not say
that. No. What did I say? I said I have the microphone. I have the mic.
No, when you're going to use the microphone incorrectly, I'm going to talk over you.
Please, Yavi.
I did not say that.
This is a Socratic seminar, and you're speaking out of turn. I made this outline. I was like, we're doing this, and this is what we're doing. And I sent it to her, and I said, boom.
Okay, no, we agreed. Together. We agreed on the topic together. I had exams this week.
I did too. I just bombed an exam right before shooting this.
But you made this outline like 2 days ago, and...
Yeah, 2 days. Mind you, 2 days ago, not a few hours before we shot the podcast.
In the last podcast, I mentioned...
Sorry, I'm digging too deep.
I thought our working styles were very different, and I thought that was funny because I made the outline last time and Chris filled it in right before we recorded the podcast. Mind you, I still finished my part of the outline yesterday instead of 5 minutes before the podcast.
Small steps. Small steps. All right. Let's get on to the next category.
But thank you for making this outline, Chris. I rescind my statement, I guess.
Can you say that for the microphone, please?
I don't have a mic. I'm not fancy.
No. Well. Anyway. So we're
both wearing our manipulator glasses, by the way, in case you guys felt that vibe.
I haven't taken these off. I love wearing these glasses.
All right, so this podcast ended up being longer than we thought it would be. And so I think we're going to break it down into 2 parts. So this is going to be the ending for the first part. And so during our next podcast, we'll pick up with our 4th category, which is going to be sad songs.